Hey there everyone, and welcome to a new Celebrity Synastry video. I am going to be covering Kim and Kanye because of course the big news is that Kim filed for divorce, right? So we're going to look into the Synastry today. I'm not used to wearing headphones when I'm talking. I'm a little loud here. All right. So we're going to look into this synastry today between Kim and Kanye because I've heard some rumors like both of their moons are in Pisces. So we're going to see how tight that orb is because we know that is a twin flame indicator if we've been watching any of my other videos. Also, we're going to look at who holds the lower degree because and we're going to see if they have any deal breaking aspects or divorce aspects. And I actually haven't looked at this myself, only a tad, just at their moons and a little bit at Kanye's birth chart, because I was thinking a few weeks ago, and you may have seen this in one of my more recent videos when I was teasing this one. I was thinking, because I have a Sun Jupiter conjunction in my birth chart and I've studied it quite a bit, and one day I was just thinking, I'm like, I wonder if Kanye has a Sun Jupiter conjunction, and he sure does. In his 11th house. Now, before we go into it, I do want to say that I have noticed that the I had been studying another celebrity actually, and I plugged in their birth chart info in one of my very detailed softwares that actually doesn't run on the Mac, so I can't show you guys it, but I found that the charts are a little off online for celebrities, and there's this old Chinese saying that you shouldn't give your birth time and your birth chart information out because people can use it against you. And so I thought, maybe that's some sort of protective mechanism. I also know with Kurt Cobain that when I had looked, his stellium with Pisces was in his 6th house, and then I read a great article where this guy was talking about this Pisces stellium being in his 7th house. And actually, I wrote the guy, I never heard back, but I should plug that into my legit software. So the houses could be a little off. Maybe Kanye's stellium could be on his midheaven, or not stellium, his Sun Jupiter conjunction could possibly be on his midheaven, since that's close to the 11th house, if they are indeed in protecting the celebrities this way, or maybe their software is slightly off. But I also checked, and they had plugged in mean, tropical, placidus, the exact same type of chart that I had in my software. So I found that very interesting. Maybe one of these days I'll cover the celebrity that I found that discrepancy with and his romantic relationships, because those are very interesting as well. Anyways, let's get into Kim and Kanye. For those of you who are new, let me go ahead and show you how we look up the synastry. And the reason I like to do these celebrity synastries for you is because, for one, you already have all the back on the celebrity, so I don't have to fill you in on that. And for two, to show you how to look at your own compatibility in your own relationships. So we're going to start. I pulled up most of the charts, but we're going to start at the bare bones and plug in Kim and Kanye's information and show you how to look up your compatibility with your mates. And then as we go over Kim and Kanye's and all the other celebrity synastries and all the aspect videos, you can learn what aspects you're looking for in a mate. And I find these patterns over and over again with my clients. They usually prove to be true. If you watch the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp video, you know that they had a deal breaker and a divorce aspect, I believe. Now, I'm going to keep this about 30 minutes. Maybe we'll stretch it close to an hour. But if I have any epiphanies after this, I'll definitely make a part 2, and I'll link it at the end of the video. So, keep an eye out for that. All right, let's go ahead and look. Let me see here. Okay, so I got this up. gonna go ahead. And we're just gonna plug in Kim and Kanye's. Now, that I did find about Kim's birth chart, she's a cusp baby. Now, everyone always says Kim's a Libra, so I wanted to go in right now because I was thinking of this earlier as I was pulling up the charts. And yeah, her sun is 28 degrees Libra, but she's definitely on the cusp of Scorpio there, which does have some significance. Now, for Kim and Kanye, with their moons being Pisces, this trine from Scorpio would be to his moon. So far, not seeing anything too terrible between these two. But again, and I just want to reiterate this real quick before we go into their charts. And I want to mention also, we will be doing Q&A. Oh, hey, you're already in here. All right, awesome. Let me check out what you're saying to me. Hey, Neha. I'm not doing a tarot reading right now, but at the end, if I have time, I'll definitely answer your questions. And thank you so much for the compliment. I'm not doing the monthly tarot readings, but I might just bring back like a tarot Q&A or something so I can answer your questions live. But right now we're going to go over Kim and Kanye's Synastry. So again, anybody else who wants to ask any questions about Kim and Kanye or wants to wait to the end and I can answer, some personal questions. I'll probably cut the personal questions out of the re-upload, but I can do them live. So, okay, going back to this, I just want to say that when it comes to synastry, the most important thing, first and foremost, is, well, actually, this is debatable. It's the moons. The moons need to be compatible. I'm going to if you want a lifetime love until death do you part, your moons need to be compatible. And we'll definitely be exploring that more in this video. And you can look at my moon dignity video as well if you want to learn more about that. The second most important thing, it's so weird hearing myself in the headphones. I sound very slow. The second most important thing is aspects. Okay, aspects are where I can really see if a couple is going to last or not. Okay, so that's what we're going to dig into right now with Kim and Kanye. And then the third thing that you can look at is the houses in the composite charts to really see how these two interact, how they affect each other, how the relationship is, as its own unit when the two become one. And that's when it gets really fun. But if the aspects are no good, it's almost not even worth looking that far. So we do have Kim and Kanye's birthday or birth times, which we didn't have with Amber and Johnny. So this will be a little more in depth. We'll be able to see how Kim and Kanye actually affect one another and not just, how... Oh, I thought I lost you guys there for a second. My battery's kind of low on my computer. So let me know if you can still... Let me just check. Yeah, it looks like we're still streaming. I hate to, speak and then no one's listening. All right, so we're going to go back into the chart right now and really get into these aspects. That's what I was, Okay, so I always like to do the woman first. You maybe be a male watching this, but just the way the charts overlay, I like to put the woman's info first. So Kim is October 21st. Now, if you want to do this for yourself, and this is why I'm showing you, this is why, I pulled up all the other charts, but I want you to see this. So, tactile, visual learning, even audible learning, you can do it yourself. So I did put the link. It's this link. It's down in the description box, and you can click it. And if you have your person's month, day, and year, you don't need the birth time to see the aspects. And the aspects, you can really tell whether a couple is going to make it or not with. So it's really all you need. Now, I forgot what year Kim is born, so we're just going to go peek back up here. 1980, okay. And I like to kind of do this from scratch, like as if this was a real reading for yourself. You know, this is how I start. I start by pulling up the charts, and then we'll get into it from here. Okay, I think I got their birthdays right. We'll just double check. Kanye's June 8th, 77. I always like to double check too. All right, because it's very important what these aspects say. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to go ahead and explore here. So here we see that Pisces moon conjunction that I'm excited to check this video out because of. Because if you've watched any of my previous videos, this can be a twin flame indicator. Now, if they have, which we're soon to find out, ooh, the big reveal, if they have Neptune conjunct Uranus and Kim's moon is holding the lower degree, then they could be false twins. But let's see. So first of all, we have Sun opposition Venus. Some astrologists really like this. I've talked about this in other videos. I prefer, you know, a Venus opposition is okay. Sun opposite Venus, I'm very undecided on at this point. But we do want to note here that, oh yeah, Kanye in his birth chart has a Venus-Mars conjunction. Now in Vedic, if you watch other videos, I said Vedic, but I think it's Vedic, so whatever. All right, Kanye has this. So Kanye's planets are on the outside, and Kim's planets are on the inside. And a way to quickly check this is the suns. So Kanye's a Gemini, he's here. There's this Jupiter conjunction, and Kim is on the cusp of Libra, so she's the inner wheel. And that's why I always do the woman first. She's the inner wheel. And a lot of people kind of classically do that, but it's really up to preference and whatever's easier for you to read. Now, here we see that Kim and Kanye have, or not Kim and Kanye, Kanye in his natal birth chart. See here, this Venus-Mars conjunction. Scroll down. There it is again. It's on his 11th house cusp. This means he will have a love marriage. Venus-Mars conjunction are some of the funnest people to be in a relationship with. They're romantic, they're loving. They actually do not have a hard time getting into a relationship. So sometimes they can be serial monogamous. There's a guy I know with the Venus-Mars conjunction, and my Venus is actually conjunct that. So that's actually one of the nicest romance aspects I've experienced. If you've watched my other videos, you know Venus-Mars conjunction between two people is great. That would be if Kim's Venus was right here. Hers is over here in Scorpio, but anyways, we want to stay on track here. So this means that he could be a serial monogamous, meaning that if Kim and him do divorce, it probably won't take too long for him to be in a very loving, healthy, committed, monogamous relationship. Now, whether that lasts a long time would depend on the aspects between him and that new person. But in Vedic astrology, it means you will have a love marriage. And again, if you are interested in someone and they have this, beware that it's not going to be hard for them to move on from you. But at the same time, this is going to be one of the most romantic, passionate people that you can have a relationship with, if that makes sense. Now, if your Venus or Mars is with theirs, then it's unique. It'll be the most passionate relationship for both of you that you might experience. But when the person has it natally, this is very much for him. Hope I'm not boring you guys here. Okay, so let's get back into the aspects. Kim's Venus is square Kanye's sun. So right here we've got Kanye's love planets are opposite, and within a pretty tight orb here, Kim's sun, which is on a cusp. If you notice here, his conjunction is on the cusp of Taurus and Aries, which is directly across from her sun with Libra and Scorpio. So I've been kind of checking out ASAP, and they have sun opposition Venus going both ways. They don't have anything else really working against them off the top of my head. I don't know if their moons are compatible. I can't remember. But Jules Mayberry, I love her videos. She says, sun opposition Venus isn't too bad. It can cause quite an attraction, kind of like you feel like you found your missing piece. But I don't know here with this Venus-Mars conjunction, it's sort of like Kanye's love nature and the fact that it's happening on his 11th house, and he feels like he needs to share all this love with the world because that's sort of a humanitarian thing. Now remember, Venus and Mars are very passionate in very different ways. They're the passionate feminine and masculine energies. On the 11th house, he's got love for everybody. He's a big lover, like a big teddy bear, and you can kind of see it. Yeah, he's feisty. That kind of goes back to the Sun-Jupiter conjunction, and it's really because he feels compelled to teach the masses. Jupiter's the teacher. With his sun, it just really Jupiter blows up his personality, huge personality. Obviously, if you've ever heard anything about Kanye, he has a huge personality. But he has a lot of love and passion for the masses, for humanity. And this being opposite Kim's sun means romantically, in the beginning, they really felt almost like it was a conjunction. It was very complementary in opposition. But as time went on and Kanye starts to play this out, in his life, it could kind of conflict with Kim's personality to some extent. Now, I did pull up their chart with the birth times, so I just want to take a quick glimpse into what house this is falling into for Kim. Actually, her sun is on her 11th house cusp, so this is one of those flip things. Kanye's Venus-Mars conjunction is happening pretty much on Kim's IC, which is the home. So, irregardless, or however you say it, of this Venus-Mars conjunction being opposite of Kanye's, let me give, you guys are probably bored to death here. Regardless of this being opposite, okay, I lost you guys here. Regardless of it being opposite, it's happening on Kim's IC. This is her home, her comfort. This is why he really fits in well with the family. They promised, that they'll always embrace him. Because your IC, let me show you Kim's chart so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about here. Oh, okay, yeah. It's happening Taurus cusp. Oh, it's not her IC. It's her 5th house cusp, which is romance and dating, but it's still touching the 4th house. So, her creativity. Kanye really stimulates these areas of her chart. If you see here, Kim has, excuse me, I should take my allergy pill today. All right, if you can see here, Kim has sort of an imbalanced chart where all of her planets are on her midheaven Jupiter. This is her fame here. And I'm just, discovering this as I'm talking to all of you. But her Jupiter on her midheaven here, this is fame. I don't even have to look at the rest. That's where the fame comes from. Now, midheaven is career, so she's very career driven. We go here, her sun being in Libra in the 10th house. And Saturn actually. And Saturn and Pluto. Okay, so Jupiter and Saturn can represent a lawyer. So all of this happening in her 10th house. The sun, to the Jupiter, feels compelled to be a lawyer. Also, the sun is the father. Libra can represent law and in the 10th house career. So definitely taking after the father, the sun, the tradition, you know, and she has, with Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter here, all the power to back it up. And of course, Jupiter being on the midheaven gives her the fame. Now, Venus being here in her 9th house, it's sort of how she gets around with her beauty, if that makes sense, or uses her beauty and kind of spreads it far and wide, in a nutshell, because I don't want to go too off on a tangent. So with her Lilith here with the sun, she needs to be very careful, because Lilith is woman power. So that's sort of like the things she's done in the past, like let's say the sex tape or whatever, is being right here with her sun, could bite her a little bit when she's actually practicing law. People are definitely going to judge her based on her Lilith, and old things that she did will come back, and it I mean, especially when you're dealing with Lilith on the midheaven or the 10th. This is also sort of like a sex bombshell. Also on the ascendant Lilith. So Marilyn Monroe, a lot of women like that. I think J-Lo too, they have Lilith on the ascendant. This is like a bombshell, you know, someone who's what's the word, like a pinup girl kind of thing. And also when it's on the midheaven, but because midheaven's career, women can have a difficult time in career, just be having like being infamous, let's say. And so with it's not quite on her midheaven, but it is with her sun. So that is, things from the past could tarnish her reputation a little bit when she becomes a lawyer, but she's definitely going to do it. I believe that, looking at her chart. Okay, but see, back to Kanye and Kim. She's got Neptune. Oh no, that's in the first. Okay, I was thinking she had Neptune in the 12th. I was like, okay, she might have a little bit of powerful intuition. Pisces moon, Neptune in right around her ascendant. Especially when it comes to foreign things, travel, things like that. Her intuition. And even she does really well when she's traveling. She comes off, because we're dealing with Sagittarius. But back to this whole thing going on. Her chart is a little lopsided here. She's got all of this going on this side. So Kim's Venus-Mars conjunction falls over here. His Sun junction is going to fall in her 6th house on her descendant. So he's definitely balancing out our chart. So now let's actually look at this, how the planets overlay here. Can you guys see this? It's kind of tiny. Let me go back. This is, you know, it looks a little better in my regular software that doesn't work on the Mac. But this is the overlays. This is how we can see what house is. Now, again, this is a muddied picture of it. Usually you'd have the wheel around the wheel. The planets are falling. But see here, we got Kanye's moon. Well, his Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, kind of balancing out this end of the chart where Kim's got this heavy stuff going on over here. So that's kind of nice. But I want to get back into the aspects. Okay. So we've got her Mars opposite his Lilith, Jupiter trine. Now I'm just going to dig really quick to see if there's any deal breakers or divorce aspects. And then we can look a little more into the depths of their astrology. But we always want to start with the moons and the aspects. I'm just going to reiterate that. Now, look here. Okay, I'm just going to jump into it because I'm curious. I'm wondering who holds the lower degree. So let's see. We can just go ahead and look at Kanye's birth chart. His moon is in 28 degrees Pisces, and Kim's is in 16 degrees Pisces. So this is kind of bad news. I'm kind of disappointed because I was so excited when I saw that they had this moon conjunction. It's like, forget what other people think. There's a lot of love and emotional understanding here between these two. Just having their moons both being in Pisces is simpatico. But at a 16-degree orb and a 28, that's a 12, or sorry, it's a 12-degree orb, which is a little bit wide. It's quite wide. But when you're dealing with moon conjunctions, it's a very magnetic pole and it's still very powerful. I'm not surprised they were married. Now, the issue that we have here with her moon, so remember Kim's on the inside here. Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac and Aries is the first. So the wheel goes like this. You can see my mouse, right? Oh my goodness, you guys. You can't even see the mouse, so everything I'm pointing at, you're probably like, what is she talking about? Oh, that's a bummer. Okay. Or maybe it's delayed. Okay. If you look towards the bottom of the chart and you see their moons, it's really, let me zoom in so you guys know exactly what I'm saying. I'm just going to zoom into their moons if it'll let me. Okay. Okay, you guys can see the moons, right? It's kind of right above where the aspects list starts. You can see Kanye's moon on the outside. So if you look at the Aries symbol, if you know which sign, Aries and Pisces, Aries is the beginning, so it goes all the way around the wheel back to Pisces. When we have Kanye, or the man's moon, ahead of the woman, so to speak, he has to go, according to Vedic astrology, let me just zoom out a little again. He has to go all the way around the wheel to get to Kim, to support her emotionally. Oh, I cut her moon out there. All the way around. Okay. So this is not good. While they understand each other significantly and they're totally simpatico, just my intuition, I got this vibe of something I saw them recently, and I don't really follow them. But I mean, I like Kanye's music, but I don't watch Keeping Up with Kardashians or anything like that. But I saw something, and I just had this, like, a clip of her, and I had this intuition, like, he's kind of emotionally abandoned her. Not saying, like, I'm not putting blame on whatever's causing their divorce or their separation. But it's like, with his moon being there, for her to feel emotionally supported, he has to go all the way around the wheel, first through Gemini, through Cancer, all the way to Aquarius, to Pisces to get to her. So even though they're really close together there, and when they first met, they're like, I get you, yeah, you get me. They have a lot of the same kind of emotions and things going on. Now, this is happening for Kanye in his, I'm just going to look at this to tell you. The moon conjunction's happening for Kanye in his 9th house, and it's happening for Kim on her IC. So again, that's that, him really fitting in well with her family. Now, it's not exactly on her IC. Her house 3rd, 4th. Yeah, Kanye's moon actually is conjunct her IC, which is actually a really, really good thing. It kind of goes back to what I was trying to say with the Venus-Mars conjunction, but that's actually on her 5th house cusp. It is on her IC, you guys, I like. But his moon is, let me just see. her moon's actually closer to his MC, which is career. So she really helped to like kind of nurture him, and not nurture his career because he already had a very well established career, but anything that he was dealing with in his career or public life, with her moon sitting like right by his MC. This is Kanye's chart. Her moon would be, you can see Kanye's moon if you look at the moon symbol up there. It's too bad my pointer is not showing you guys. But look up at the top right, you can see Kanye's moon. Kim's moon is going to be right by that circle that says MC. And so she really just had this nurturing, loving nature when it comes to his career and his public life. She could understand anything he's going through, reassure him, anything like that. With Kim, Kanye's moon is going to be, he holds the higher degree. It's on like in her 4th house. Again, family, home, childhood family, which Kim is very connected to still, more than most people. Kanye fits in very, very well there. The issue that they're having after, I don't even look this up, you guys, but you guys know, they've been married 5 or 6 years, so we got to check for those divorce aspects right now. But remember, if you don't have moon compatibility, you're only going to last like 10 years maximum. The bummer about moon compatibility is if the woman's moon holds the lower degree, which Kim's does here, she has to be the one to show all the emotional support in the relationship. And even though they're the same and they totally understand each other, it's like he's not looking at her. He has to go all the way around the wheel to get to her. So she doesn't feel very emotionally supported. She kind of feels like he gets me, he understands me. We both have our moon in Pisces. She doesn't know this. Moon doesn't talk. That's Mercury. The moon is how you feel. It's how you live together. It's your home. So if it was the other way around, if Kanye held the lower degree and could emotionally support Kim, they would live in the same home. This is how it was for a while. But this is why I feel like because she's holding the lower degree, he moved away. He's trying to come back around and get to her, but he doesn't know how. Because, and this is just my analogy of it, this doesn't mean it's true, but it's like men emotionally, according to Vedic astrology, this is just an analogy. I'm not making any general statements about how men feel, but according to Vedic astrology, they have to go forward all the way around the wheel. Again, Kanye has to go through all the other signs to get back to Kim in Pisces. So even though I didn't cough at all till now. So even though, he's right there and she's like, you understand me, you know me, we're the same, we're simpatico, our moons are both in Pisces, we feel the same. All of a sudden, it's like he's turned his back on her. And this was the sense that I got from that clip. And he's like, I'm trying to get back to you. I don't understand the disconnect. I'm over here in Wyoming or whatever, trying to get back around the wheel, dealing with other things. She's like, dude, I need you here right now. He's like, I can't get around the wheel fast enough. I got to go through all these emotions, the moon's emotions, right? Just to get back to you. But I love you. I understand you. She's like, dude, I'm like right here. So even, I don't know, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I feel like just this moon conjunction made them pretty solid from the gate. I was pretty impressed when I heard this. It gives a real authenticity to their relationship. But there may have been times before where she felt like she's the one always giving the emotional support. And I think that's starting to wear on her. And I think he's realizing the distance, right? The distance of going all the way around the chart more and more. And it's probably exhausting for him. Because logically you'd think he could just turn around, right? Her moon's right below him holding the lower degree and be like, hey, what's up, sweetie? Like if the man's moon holds the lower degree. But she doesn't understand. He has to run all the way through all the other signs. Now, the good thing about the moon is it does change signs every 2 to 3 days. So there could even be motions that they go through monthly where, as the moon in the sky transits closer to Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, that end of the wheel, they start to feel more connected again or something like that. That would be interesting to know. Anyways, so I want to get back into the aspects here because this is what I've been done. It's going to let me scroll. There we go. So far, actually, okay, this isn't a deal breaker. It's a red flag. I'm just going to skim really quick. I'm not seeing any deal breakers or divorce acts between these aspects between these two, which is good news. And with the moon conjunction, even though it's a little exhausting, her having to sort of support in the way a man would, and him having to run around the wheel to get to her to be like, I love you every time. I'm not seeing yet, and it's usually pretty clear. It stands out pretty quick for me right in here, whether a couple's gonna make it or not. Remember, the moons and the aspects, most important thing. As far as the aspects go, I'm not seeing any deal breakers, which is good news for Kim and Kanye. I do see some red flags, some challenges. Even this opposition up here with the sun opposite Venus and opposite Mars isn't a red flag. Venus square sun. Let's go ahead and read the description on that one. The two persons are drawn towards each other, and these descriptions I take with a grain of salt. I have my own variations of them. The two persons are drawn towards each other, but the union can be unstable at times. Largely because there will inevitably be division, probably through misunderstandings on romantic levels, which may frustrate the partner. Now, this is where I could kind of see the distance, them kind of living in different states, as far as I know, being challenging. Because it's like Venus, this is Kim's Venus right here, is love. Okay, she wants, she's like, where are you? I love you. And he's over here being himself, his son. He can come off kind of selfish to her sometimes. I'm not saying that he is. It's his own way of dealing with things, but with her moon being more supportive and then her Venus square sun, she feels like, he always comes first, and that's exhausting for her because she just really wants to enjoy him here with her Venus. Jupiter trine Mercury, that's great, especially with her Jupiter being on her midheaven, giving her fame. Kanye is really able to communicate with Mercury here with that. But this is another one. Sun opposition Neptune. This is where Kim disappoints Kanye sometimes because, and we can kind of look at what houses this is going into, but I'll just read you the description of it because this description's pretty on for this one. Again, it's not a deal breaker. Now, Mercury square Neptune, that's not something you want to, or opposition Neptune, that's something you want to run from. That's a lot of lies, white lies that lead to much bigger lies. But that's Mercury opposition or square Neptune. We're talking sun. It's the ego. It can handle a little more of the Neptune illusions, fantasies. But this is kind of how the sun's going to feel, which is Kanye here. The sun might end up feeling used or frustrated in this relationship. There may be deceptions, lies, or promises of a fantastic future that only exists in the imagination. Let me just go ahead. Okay, of course, I had to clear my throat as soon as I was on this video. Um, I think it's because I have the headphones on, so I can hear everything that's in my throat. Okay, um, but back to the description. So, it's like with the moons, Kim feels like, dude, I'm always carrying all the emotional weight, and I know you love me, and I know you understand me, but dude, why you always have to run all the way around the wheel to get to me? Why can't you just turn around and look at me? It kind of sucks sometimes because he doesn't really know how to do that. Okay, um, and they're lucky they don't have Neptune conjunct Uranus, because while that's very powerful and fun, interesting conjunction, reverse moon dignity can indicate a false twin. So I'm glad they don't have that going on. Um, just their moons both being in Pisces, even though the degrees are flipped, they're gonna live together well. So, and have a lot of emotional understanding. But here we have Kim with her Venus square his sun, and her sun opposite his passion planets, and her moon being the lower dignity. She feels like she carries a lot of weight in this relationship emotionally. She may be feeling after 4 kids in a few years that he's not paying enough attention intimately anymore as well. That's just something I'm picking up intuitively. But we are dealing with the passion planets, so it is something that could happen with these two. Now, opposition, sun opposition, and when we're dealing with the sun, there's a lot of power there. So even though these are challenges with their passion planets, I'll just go back up here. It's not something that's going to break them. It's not a red flag. If anything, it causes more passion, more tension. Look at these top 3 aspects up here. But when we go down, so Kim's feeling that way, and this kind of reminds me of like my high school boyfriend, where it's like, no, it's you that doesn't love me, that doesn't pay enough attention. And then he's like, no, but I feel really misunderstood. And it's like you almost just can't, decide. It can be almost a perpetual, eternal argument, or disconnect, kind of like Saturn square Mercury, when the two just talk and talk and talk interminably, and debate and debate and debate, and it keeps them together because it's not a deal breaker. Saturn's glue, but it can be exhausting for the two. And one or the other might realize that they're in this script, that never same discussion they've been having for years. They don't have that, but what they do have with the sun opposition Neptune is Kanye is like the sun here. He's like, we now, lies and deception doesn't mean like cheating or lying about anything like that. Neptune is this illusion, the veil. So they do have their Pisces moons. They have a lot of Neptune energy. His sun can probably deal with this fairly well. But the thing is promises of a fantastic future that only exists in the imagination. So I've seen this with Venus square Neptune. It's a square also, where the two is, Venus square, I'm sorry to go off on like another aspect, but Venus square Neptune, because Neptune's is illusions, right? Lies, deception, but it's also fantasy, imagination. So when you have Venus square Neptune, this can indicate like a soulmate connection, but it can be high spiritual connection, and usually there's other indicators in the chart of that. Or it can be karmic, because in a low vibration, Venus square Neptune can be affairs, infidelity. Now, Kim and Kanye don't have that, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it says that in the astrology. More the way that the sun opposition Neptune will play out is it's like they were going to get married and they were going to live happily ever after, and they did this for a while and they got a real taste of it, and they could do it, and they could overcome all the obstacles, what anyone else thought. They could get, really enjoy that moon in Kim's 4th house. Kanye's part of the family. They really got all these good things out of the relationship. It was better than they ever imagined because it was Neptune, but because it's an opposition, after a while, the sun, the ego, Kanye will start to say, well, wait, Kim, you said it's happily ever after. Wait, you said, you and I, we were going to do this as a family, and then you didn't follow through. You kind of tried to lead it your own way. Now, thinking back to someone that my actually most recent ex that I really, really loved, and it was a very Neptunian relationship. My sun was opposite his Neptune, and it was just sort of like he was with me all the time. He wouldn't go away. I couldn't get rid of him. That was Mars conjunct Pluto. But he was always like, I want to marry you. We're going to get together. I'm going to get my shit together. But Neptune can also be like drug usage and things like that. So he developed a drug addiction during the relationship, which I don't even touch them. So I don't really know. Neptune square sun maybe, or opposite, whatever it is. So it was always like with his Neptune, he's like, yeah, we're gonna future, but we couldn't even make it through the present time because Neptune was just feeding me all these fantasies. And when you're living it, right, day in and day out, he's loving, he's doting, he's caring. I'm like, yeah, I would love to be with you for the rest of my life. You're so loving and doting and caring. You pay attention to me the way no one else does. So when you tell me, and it's not like when someone's playing you and they're just like, telling you what you want to hear just so they can get with you for a quick minute. This Sun Neptune hard aspect can really set two people up with this really deeply imagined possible future, but the day to day, it's not living up to it. Neptune is sending mixed signals, sort of like it will do with Mercury when it's telling little white lies and hiding a bigger lie. Neptune with the sun will be like, oh, the future is going to be great if we can just get there. But day to day, it's deceiving. And so the reason I went on the tangent about that boyfriend is because I could see this playing out with Kim and Kanye with something like maybe their values conflicting. Now that would be, I'm not going to do it in this video, maybe part 2, something I would dig deeper into when I'm really looking into a couple, like what are their values, what's going on in their second house, their 8th house, things like that. But it's like, I've heard things like, Kanye wants, he just has like more Christian values. And so Kim, so he might say things like, I want you to, let's just use this as an example. I'm not saying they ever said this. Maybe it's been discussed. Maybe Kanye was, when they got married, Kim's like, we're only going to do Keeping Up with the Kardashians for another season or 2. Once we have children, I'll, let it go. Now, I'm not saying this is true. This is all fictional. Maybe there was a contract. Kim promised Kanye, this is very Neptune to Sun, just hypothetically, when the contract's up, we won't continue with the show. We'll just focus on our family. And Kanye was like, great, we'll all move to Wyoming or something. And Kim's like, yeah, sure, because that's very Neptune. This is how Neptune lies to Mercury. The thing is, the sun it's not being lied to, because Mercury's communication, it's waiting. The sun is solid. It's his ego. He's like, okay, she said they would quit filming that show after 3 years, and then it was 3 more years, and then it was 3 more years. So I don't know. I don't think they've been married that long, but you see what I'm saying? And then Kim's like, yeah, but it's not a big deal. I'm Neptune. I'm dreamy. We'll just keep filming it. We can make it work. Kanye's like, his sun, which is Leo, it's strong. He's like ruled by Leo as the sun. Kanye's sun is in Gemini, is like, yeah, you're dreamy, Neptune. I guess I'll let it slide. I'm not holding any grudges, but really, it adds up after a while, because this happens quite consistently, where there's this future they're trying to get to, right? And Neptune's like, yeah, we're gonna get there. And even with all the resources in the world to build whatever future they want, Neptune is just holding on to things that conflict with what the sun wants. Okay, so that's kind of how it plays out. So this isn't a deal breaker either, a red flag. This is just more something that over time it's going to make the Sun not trust the Neptune person as much. Now, it's not that he doesn't trust her, like he has to keep tabs on her 24/7. It's more that he just, things that she says, he doesn't take, if she's like, come home back to LA and I'll do this and this that I've been saying, he's kind of going to be like, yeah, well, you've been saying that for a while, so I'm just going to do my own thing. So I'm not waiting around for that to happen because, you always say this stuff and it never happens. And that can start to create real distance and a rift between the two when the Sun kind of just doesn't take the Neptune person seriously anymore. They're like, I'll indulge in the fantasy of it for a while, but then they start not to trust Neptune, and it gets kind of old pretending. So Kanye feels like he's just, when he gets enveloped in her Neptunian promises that aren't going to pan out the way that his Sun, his most dominant planet, needs to plan for things. The Sun, I would say, along with Mercury, is a planning sort of planet. It likes to know its path, very creative as well. It's a gap between them. So I don't consider it a deal breaker, but I do think that the Neptune person like him needs to be very careful of the things that they promise the Sun person. And it might even say that here. So let me just finish reading about Sun opposition Neptune. So, or an inability, or promises of a fantastic future that only exists in the imagination, or more likely, an inability to see one another clearly and projection of wonderful qualities onto the partner. It can be difficult for the Neptune person to live up to these, as Neptune might begin to back off or feel overwhelmed. So that's another thing too, is, you notice in the beginning, even though Kanye seems to have more conservative values, and maybe that's been part of maturity and him growing into his Jupiter-Sun conjunction and being a wise leader, he really put Kim on a pedestal. And I was actually a little surprised because I just feel like, well, I don't know. When I see their moon conjunction, I'm not surprised anymore. But he really put her up there on this pedestal, and I feel like I guess why I'm was surprised, because he's very critical. I feel like he's the kind of person who wouldn't go for someone who seems superficial at all. I'm not saying she is. Now, Libra, which is her sun sign, can come off that way, and in the rising too, Libra. But then again, his Sun is trine her Sun, which I haven't mentioned yet, in Gemini. So their personalities are very compatible. Their moons are conjunct. Very, very ideal. So it's not a surprise he put her on a pedestal. I mean, it was real legit and genuine what he's feeling. But with her Neptune opposite his Sun, it was really heightened. That could be a hard crash for him when he realizes, she's just real simpatico with me, but she's not this goddess. Now, he may always think of her as a goddess and put her on a pedestal, but he's going to start to eventually, Neptune shatters the illusion, see her as a real person. And luckily, that person is someone that he is compatible with personality-wise and compatible with moon-wise. So, like I said, they can still work out, okay? But yeah, Kanye just has to be careful not to expect too much from Kim. That she's this mystical goddess, because Neptune is very spiritual, and know that they are connected spiritually, especially with that moon conjunction, but not think of her as infallible, and not be so disappointed when she doesn't live up to those things. And Kim needs to definitely, she needs to be careful what she promises Kanye if they're going to make it work. So here, at the very bottom here, let me go ahead and go to a bigger screen. You can see this is Saturn conjunct lunar node. You can see that at the very bottom there. Wish my cursor showed. Nope, doesn't. Okay. Yes, it says 48 conjunction Saturn lunar node. lunar node is the north node. It's your life path, it's your destiny. Saturn is the glue that holds two people together. If a couple doesn't have any Saturn, if you've been watching my videos, pretty hard for them. They can be around each other for many, many, many years with no Saturn. But there's always a huge disconnect. They won't feel stable or sturdy, and they won't be able to quite get it together. But when you have Saturn conjunct the north node, you have real long-term compatibility here. I mean, you've got the father of time conjunct the life path destiny of the other person. This is real support. So I'm excited to scroll up and see who is who. But let's just say here, positive aspect, favorable union will help to achieve their ambitions. That's why these descriptions aren't always the grandest, because there's so much more to Saturn conjunct North Node than that. But yeah, let's just see. It's Kanye Saturn conjunct Kim's North Node at 4.20 degrees. So Kanye is actually, if you watch the Amber and Johnny video, I had said that Johnny was like this fatherly figure to Amber Heard, and not in a good way, because they have Venus square Saturn. This conjunction with Kanye being Saturn, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'll put it at the very top so you guys can just see. So at the very top there, it's the very top aspect under Sun sextile North Node. Kanye, a fatherly figure to Kim, not in the same way as with Johnny and Amber. It could be like that her father did pass away when she was younger. Kanye is a very stabilizing person in Kim's life. You know, we always see Kim as the one keeping it together, and that may be true. Let me turn this volume down a little bit, you guys. I see it's peaking. And that may be true emotionally, right? Which often the women are a little bit more of the emotional nurturers. And it is exhausting for Kim the way it's placed. But here, we don't give... And, she smooths things over in his midheaven, his public life. But this is showing me there's a real depth here. Kanye is like a rock to Kim with Saturn conjunct North Node. This almost makes me speculate that, these two might be just doing this divorce thing for PR. Now, I want to be sensitive, because I do feel like, and I didn't think this, when they first got together, but just looking at the astrology and then thinking back over just the little snippets of what I know of these two have a real genuine relationship. I really don't see them divorcing. And with this Saturn conjunct North Node, I mean, Kanye is her rock. These are the type to, these two could, if they did divorce, end up back together, is what I'm thinking. And if not, they're going to stay knit. Obviously, they have children, but I mean, Kim really relies on Kanye, and she may not know it. Saturn takes a little longer to kick in. So maybe she would just have to get fed up emotionally, divorce him. They miss each other and come back together. But he is much more of a raw future than I don't even know if she really realizes how much. So also here, look right below that, and we can see Kanye's Neptune is trine Kim's North Node. This is... Remember how I was saying the Neptune opposition sun is very spiritual and, oh my gosh, but can be a little disillusioning? North Node trine Neptune, this is soulmate written all over it. This is past life connection. Their moons are conjunct. The dignities are flipped, but they don't have any deal breakers. They don't have... Uranus conjunct Neptune. So with this North Node trine Neptune, in the moon conjunction, there's not really enough parallels for me to say that they're twin flames, but they are definitely like that idealistic, perfect soulmate life partner. Like if there was one for the other in this world, unless they can find someone they have a moon conjunction with and they hold the proper dignity, they're the dang, I almost cussed, near best match these two are gonna find. And then look up here too. Kanye's sun is sextile Kim's north node. Any north node contacts, especially conjunctions, sextiles, and trines with the sun and Saturn, and then Neptune spiritual, they're they're definitely soulmates. I'm gonna say they could even be twin flames. I like to see a little bit more parallels and congruencies for that. But oh, now look, Kim's Pluto is conjunct Kanye's north node. You know, they have some challenges here, like Mars opposition Lilith. They have some challenges with their passion planets, but it's better to have challenges with the passion planets than to have, no passion planet things going on. Now, I do want to say, whenever Mars is square somebody's Sun, Venus, Uranus, you can check out my videos. I've made them Neptune or Mars. It's a deal breaker. So, if there is any deal breaker here between these two, it's going to be Venus square Sun and Mars opposition Sun. Because the opposition can be like so it's going to be their passions that disrupt them or take them apart. Or did I read Sun square Venus? I feel like I did. Oh yeah. So I would say, actually, I said there's no red flags. This little thing going on right here with Mars opposition Sun, his Sun opposite her Neptune, also her Uranus opposite his Mercury. He could feel like she's real erratic, or vice versa. It could be vice versa when we're dealing with Mercury. They could feel like their communication is very unpredictable. Like sometimes they're getting along great, talking great. Other times, one or the other of them is completely out of touch and off the radar, and that could cause some frustrations. Yeah. Oh, that's why I told you guys earlier, I'm not seeing any deal breakers yet. But when I see Mars square opposite people's planets, now it doesn't always stick out to me when it's an opposition, but an opposition often plays out the same way that a square does, or very similar. Sometimes it plays out differently with the same outcome. So the challenges for them to overcome are going to be Venus square Sun and Sun opposition Mars. But it's not like a Pluto square Mars or Saturn square Pluto or Saturn square Mars, where they're definitely going to be getting divorced. This is more just, usually I see this tear people apart much sooner. These kind of passion conflicts. And that's what, the divorce conflict. Well, let me go back over here. You guys can see me, and then I'll check out the live chat in a moment. I'm just getting on a really good roll here. So, let's see if that's there. I'm gonna read you guys Sun opposition Mars, but when I see divorce, okay, so there's the aspects. Now, if you've been following along at all with any of my other videos, there's the deal breaker aspects, which are like a couple can't usually get the relationship off the ground, or they don't, or they have a really Mars square Jupiter, great 2 to 4 months, feels like they met the one. Probably Kim's first marriage, right? Or maybe she's been that overnight marriage, that kind of thing. Do not marry someone the first month or two if you have Mars square Jupiter. Try not to move in with them, because that can blow up in your face too. Anyways, it's not going to work out if you have Mars square Jupiter. That's within a month or two. Sometimes they can drag it out a little longer, connect over the years. When we're dealing with Mars squares, usually couples can't make it too far. Even Sun square Mercury, right? Ego versus thinking nature. Mercury likes to kind of talk a lot of criticize and gossip about their partner, which isn't really healthy. That can keep a couple from getting off the ground because Mercury's too busy criticizing. That one can also break a couple, wear on them after a year or two. But when we're seeing these Mars things, they usually, unless it's like Mars square Saturn or Mars square Pluto, the couple can last, 4 or 5 years because Pluto and Saturn are stabilizers. So it's going to take, and Saturn takes a while to kick in to start showing whether it's going to keep two people together or it's going to fight with Mars or Pluto and it's going to be a divorce after 5 or 6 years, right? So them kind of making it this far with these difficult passion challenges makes me think that either it's going to get old because they've been doing this all along undercover and we didn't see it, or that's just part of the dynamic that gives them passion. Because I do feel like the moon conjunction, well, if it's in the proper dignity, like they could totally overcome this. There's a real spiritual connection between these two with the North Node contacts and with, I mean, we look at celebrities and we're like, oh, it's superficial relationship. But you have to admit, looking at these two, like, you just knowing them back in the day separately would have never put them together. But together they made a beautiful, beautiful couple. So I mean, it's going to be hard for them to find someone that they're so spiritually connected with. And I'm not talking like religion. I'm just talking like 5D, higher realm, past life, if you believe in that. Soul contract, North Node. Those North Node contacts show longevity, though, especially with Saturn. So, like I said, if they really get divorced, they may reconcile. Maybe when they're a little bit older, too, and they're... Okay, let's say worst case scenario. I don't know if you're rooting for them or not. Let's say worst case scenario. They get divorced now. Now I'm just speculating. And, they kind of co-parent and raise the kids or however they do it. And the kids are grown and they're a little bit older. And I'm saying like way older, like even after the kids are graduated. Maybe their libidos are died down because Mars, Mars is that physical passion. He's causing problems here for them. Once they could be the two that like get remarried in their 50s, 60s, 70s and sit on the porch together, and when that physical passion has died down a little bit, they're still going to feel that for each other, physical passion, but it won't be where it's causing problems because it's so strong, because maybe their libido settled down kind of thing. Because with those North Nodes, there definitely be, with the kids obviously, in each other's life for a long time. So I'm going to read Sun opposition Mars a little bit, and then we're going to look at where the children are in their chart. We're going to look at their 5th house, 7th house, 2nd house, 8th house, their values, and the children, just because I think those are some interesting things to peek at with these two. And then I'm probably going to wrap it up. But, sometimes my brain will get going and I'll be like, oh, I didn't even make that connection. I might come back on the next couple of days and go ahead and elaborate a little bit more and do part 2. Also, if you write, I'll check the live chat. Actually, I'll check the live chat right now. And then, if you're watching this on replay and you write questions in the comment, I might do a second video answering those as well. But let's go ahead and get the live chat. Let's see. I'm just kind of looking over this. Niha, I don't know if you're still in here. I hope I'm not boring you to death. All right. This is sort of advanced astrology, but I like to break it down with the celebrities so you can learn it yourself, and then you don't need me. Or maybe you can come to me if you want to, you kind of start to figure it out and you really want to explore it. I do personal synastry. You can find the link in the description below for my catalog. But okay, so if you look at the bottom here, minus 93, Sun opposition Mars. Let me just, since we're live, I don't want to forget and get off sidetrack. We're going to look at the children, I said. We're going to look at 5th, 7th, 2nd, 8th values. And then I want to take a glimpse at their composite before we go. For those of you that don't know what a composite is, hang around. And then after that, I'll answer Niha's questions if she's still in here. Or if any of you want to, I'll answer some, pull a tarot card or two for you. That won't be in the replay because I'll just trim off the end. But okay, so Sun opposition Mars. If they have a deal breaker or anything, that's going to destroy them, it's going to be these two aspects you see on the screen right here. Sun square Venus, we already read that, but Sun opposition Mars more so. So we have here is a couple that may have frequent disputes and they may find it difficult to speak calmly. They might too frequently adopt an aggressive, defensive, or offensive stance with one another. Now, I want to say with my clients, when I've seen this before, I've had them say, no, it's not like that. And observing from the outside, I don't see them talking to each other that way. I don't really watch them too much, though. I mean, maybe you guys have seen it where they get a little like that, but maybe you think they're just doing it, to amp up the drama or something. But this could be something that runs much deeper behind closed doors. Or, like I said, though, I've had clients tell me that behind closed doors they don't feel that at all, that they didn't fight at all, but they still end up breaking up because of this. So, but usually they didn't make it as far as, 6+ years, children, all that. But conflict is caused if they both want to do not consciously attempt to relate on the basis of mutual understanding. One may lay down the law, give orders, and make decisions, and the other may be an independent type who cannot stand being limited taking orders, the more so from the partner. Now, again, I was kind of equating it to like them having different values, but I actually feel like with their moons being conjunct, they do have the same values. And with the IC contact, they really do. And we're going to check out their 2nd and 8th house to double check that in a minute. But this really could be more about who's in charge, and then we've got that Sun. We've got that Sun Neptune thing going on. So it could be like, Kanye's like, okay, you said this was gonna happen, Kim, and now you're not following through. And Kim's like, yeah, it's all cool, it's good, I mean, I'll take care of it. And then Kanye's like, yeah, okay, but I'm the man, I'm gonna do da da da. And Kim's like, all right, that's fine. But then Kim might turn around and do things where she's like, I'm the businesswoman, my moon's on your midheaven, it's all business, Kanye, we have to do this is branding, this is business, and so she might really take the reins in some ways, and Kanye might be like, dude, I don't care about business. I only care about our values and our family. So in a way, this could have been balancing for them. But again, it's like, is it going to get worse over time? Is it going to wear on them? It's hard to say with Sun and Mars because Sun and Mars are great allies. And an opposition isn't causing as much friction as a square would. So, I mean, if it was a square, I would definitely say that they're going to get divorced, not back together. With the opposition, it could still work, but this is definitely, and like I said, not all couples feel this aspect the way that this description is. Now, these descriptions are a great reference point for me to explain things to you, but either they're like dead on, totally off, kind of in between, don't cover enough. These descriptions do not do justice to the way things play out for the most part. So, they may really be aggressive, defensive, and offensive with one another and kind of boss each other around. And that may work for a while because the Sun and Mars are allies. or maybe they've never felt this at all. This is a real underlying current, and they don't realize that they're working against each other in these ways because they really do love each other and are trying to be cooperative with one another when they're having, say, that example argument that I just made. You know, they may be really trying to be diplomatic, like, hey, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. And so they're really on the surface not coming off aggressive. But this underlying thing is working against them, even though it's not so underlying when we're dealing with the sun usually. So, okay, let's go ahead and just take a peek back at, this is with birth times. I want to check out their second and eighth houses. Honestly, it's easier for me to just look at their natals. Okay, so in Kanye's birth chart, the second house is values, and it's kind of family too. The fourth house is like childhood family. The second house is family. So, and the eighth house is like other people's resources, inheritances, things like that. So Kanye doesn't have anything going on in his eighth house, which means, you know, other people's finances aren't really of interest to him. Unless they have a planet falling in his eighth house, then maybe he'll be interested in their, you know, what they can help provide. But with his Saturn in the second, you know, this Saturn is conservative. It rules Capricorn. It's a real serious planet. It definitely helps the native out more towards, you know, after that, around the first Saturn return when Kanye was about 30, and then again when he's around 50, he may see a big influx of money at those times. I would have to look back to see if he did well. Also, Saturn is restrictive, so when his Saturn return came, he might have seen a big loss, and then a big gain. You know, but Saturn is very supportive for Kanye there financially, but it also is showing his values. So he has very conservative values here. Now with Kim's, now this is Leo and Aquarius, so the place that it's falling. Oh yeah, I had this feeling earlier. They kind of have flipped charts, so that is a mirroring thing. So Kim's eighth house is in Leo, but I feel like Cancer might rule the cusp there, so she's kind of cuspy, right? Because she's cusp baby. But also that's more by the ascendant anyway. But so I'm gonna look at the overlay for this. This is Kanye on the outside. His Saturn is falling into Kim's eighth house. Okay, so again, this is amazing here. So you can see it here. Here on the outside is Kanye's numbers in Roman numerals. So this is his second house. And on the inside is Kim's. So this is her eighth house, right? Because it hasn't quite hit the ninth. Kanye's Saturn is overlaying into this. If you look up at Leo, I wish the pointer worked, you guys. I could really zoom in. Hold on, let me really zoom in so you can see. Right there at the top of the wheel, you see Saturn is the pink symbol glyph on the top right of the wheel, and you'll see right below him is Roman numerals 2. That is Kanye's second house. And if you look at the bottom of that, sort of where you see the Leo glyph, you see Roman numeral 9. So it's Kanye's Saturn falls into Kim's 8th house, because it's right before her 9th house cusp. Not right before, but before. So you can see the Roman numeral 8 over there in the Cancer glyph on the bottom right of the wheel, now that I moved it up. So with this being said, Kanye actually his Saturn being in Kim's 8th house brings her more wealth, other people's money. Kanye's Saturn in her 8th house. From his, it's in his 2nd house of money and values. Coming into her 8th house is bringing her other people's money. It's bringing her Kanye's money. And again, his Saturn is conjunct her north node. So I'm going to assume that this blue line that you see running through Leo, right? Saturn glyph, if you see that, in the Leo symbol, which is such a bummer the pointer doesn't work. That is Kim's north node. So I'm telling you, they're very financially tied. And this actually shows that Kim had this willingness to adopt Kanye's values. The 8th house is also sex. So when he's more conservative or Christian or has these values around, like marriage and Christianity and sex and things like that, Kim actually is very responsive to this. It really he is her rock in this way, you guys. So I almost feel like it might be like a media hoax hype thing, or they're going through some rocky times. But it's hard for me to believe that they're really going to get divorced. If they do, I would not be surprised if they didn't get back together, because they don't have any harsh Pluto contacts or anything like that that's going to cause them deep resentments if they break up. And with and with the moon compatibility and in Pisces, the most like unconditional, loving, forgiving sign, I just really could see them just smoothing it all over one of these days. It's like, yeah, Kanye's still going to be annoyed. Like, Kim's never going to keep her word on these certain things. And Kim's going to be annoyed. Like, I'm still going to have to be the one to carry all the emotional weight. But it's like, the good kind of outweighs the bad in a lot of ways for them. I mean, if they don't, like, let's say they could break up and go find someone that they have, Venus Mars conjunction with, or Venus conjunction, or some real bex, and enjoy that for a while. But I don't think it's going to have the depth and the security with Saturn in the 2nd, 8th house that these two have. So I would say, I mean, their challenges, they're there, they're real, but the good and the stability here much outweighs it. So the one last thing I want to look at here is their 5th and their 7th, because 7th indicates marriage partners and 5th indicates children. So and the other thing is, Kanye's Venus is in Taurus, Aries cusp. Because Venus can indicate the wife also. So I was just seeing if there was any correlation there. I'm not seeing it right now. But if we go back to the aspects, is his Venus is opposite her sun. So remember how earlier I was telling you that Kanye might, when these two were individuals or they were just friends before they were ever dating, you would have never really put these two together. I mean, just on the outside. I don't know about people that knew them personally. You just wouldn't have thought that this was going to be a pair. But when they came together, it seemed very, very nicely, very complementary, kind of like two colors that you wouldn't, like orange and purple. That's a very bold statement. They are very complementary, but when you're thinking of creating something, those might not be the first two colors that you think to put together, if that makes sense. So anyway, with the sun opposition Venus here, Venus is the wife in a man's chart. So Kim, which for Kanye would be in this Aries Taurus cusp, think like 420. Like a woman born on that cusp would exemplify the ideal wife to Kanye. And with Kim's sun being in opposition to that, you got to think opposite. She's the opposite of what he thinks his wife is. But oppositions can often be very complementary, right? So it's back to that. I think Venus opposition Venus works well. I think Moon opposition Moon can keep two people understanding each other, but it's kind of gritty and uncomfortable. And it's not fulfilling. So it's kind of here with the Sun opposition Venus. It's like her sun is still shining a light on his Venus, but not like is in a conjunction. If her sun, like your sun is your birthday, so for Kanye, his Venus, again, if her birthday was on the power cusp, like April 19th through 21st, Kanye, her sun would be right on Kanye's Venus. He'd be like, this is the woman for me. And then we'd have to make sure all the other aspects line up, right? But and in opposition, her sun is still shining on his Venus. He's still illuminated by this, but it's far away, right? It's across the wheel. So he might, he might go back and forth. Like sometimes he's like, she's my ideal wife. She's my woman. She's my missing piece, I see her right across. She's the yin to my yang, the opposition. And sometimes he might feel like she's the exact opposite of what I want in a wife, shifty that way. Whether he express, or maybe when he feels let down with the default to that, like, well, she's kind of the opposite of what I thought I wanted anyway. But then the next day with that Neptune thing, she's on a pedestal. She's the best thing ever. And, he can see her right across the way. They're the yin and the yang, right? Okay. So one last thing I want to get into is the 5th and the 7th, just to kind of see where their babies are coming from. Okay, so Kanye's big Sun Jupiter conjunction, which I love, and I'm not going to elaborate on right now. There's a lot of videos on it. I have it in my birth chart I mentioned earlier. I love it. All right, it's the teacher, right? Here I am teaching you guys. No, if you made it this far. But the Sun conjunct Jupiter for Kanye is am I in the right chart? It's in his 11th house cusp. So why does it say 12 here? He's outside. 10, 11, 12. Weird. Yeah, that's why I don't like how this chart overlays. There's definitely better ways. So for him, it's in his 11th house. It's in his 11th house in Gemini. So it's going to be laying into Kim's, on her descendant. Okay, so 5th house for Kim is Taurus. Yeah. Kanye's Venus-Mars conjunction is happening pretty much in Kim's 5th house. 5th house is children. Here we go. Oh, it's not his Sun Jupiter conjunction. It's Venus-Mars conjunction. Kanye got like two of the best freaking conjunctions that you can have natally. He's blessed to have that. Spiritually connected with his Saturn in the 2nd. He has values, his moon in Pisces. Okay, anyway. I'm jealous of Kanye's chart. I'm just going to say that. Yeah, so right here you can see on the bottom right, on the very bottom right, you see Mars and Venus together there. Those are Kanye's. He's the outer wheel. And if you look down there, you can see the V, which is 5 in the Roman numerals. So his Venus-Mars conjunction is landing in her 5th house. That shows that they will have a boy and a girl. They don't have twins, right? Because that could even indicate like boy-girl twins, possibly. But this landing in her 5th house of children, and then his Mercury. Oh no, that's in her 6th. Okay, so right there, great aspect for children. Now, oh my goodness, you guys, I didn't even see this before. His Sun Jupiter conjunction is landing in her 7th house, on her 7th house cusp, pretty much. So remember how I said, and I'm not going to elaborate on totally the Sun Jupiter conjunction, what it means in the natal chart, but Jupiter, the 5th house, okay, Leo, represents children. We just covered that. That's where his Venus Mars conjunction is landing. But Jupiter also is a significator of children, okay? And the 7th house is marriage. So to have somebody's sun in your 7th house, and Kanye's sun is in Kim's 7th house. Again, the sun represents the father, kind of going back to what we saw what was going on in Kim's. Let me just show you real quick her natal birth chart. Her sun sits, in her career in Libra, be a lawyer. Kanye comes in, oh man, he is on her 7th house cusp, in her 7th house, his sun. And then his Jupiter. Now, Jupiter in a woman's chart represents the husband. So we'll take a look at Kim's Jupiter in a second. It looks like her Jupiter overlays his midheaven. So she did bring him more fame, just like it overlays hers. I could be a little flipped there. We'll get back to that. But this Sun Jupiter conjunction on Kim's 7th house, Kanye is like an ideal marriage partner for her. You know how I said the woman is the Venus, so Kanye might feel sometimes like Kim's either the perfect woman and he can see her right from here how great she is, and other times he's like frustrated. He might question like, oh, she's kind of the opposite, like she's complimentary but she doesn't do what I want. I don't know, I'm speculating there. That's just how those things can play out. So I have to try to give you an example. I'm not saying that's how exactly it plays out for these two, but this Sun Jupiter conjunction on her 7th house cusp, he's gonna be like an ideal husband to her. Okay? So if they get divorced, it's really sad because she really, even if her Neptune kind of waffled against his sun sometimes and he felt disappointed, his sun sitting on her 7th house being the perfect ideal husband for Neptune's kind of like, but I kind of want to, I don't want to give up this part of my life yet. And the sun's like, and I'm holding you to it. She still feels like he is her man, her husband, with his sun sitting on her 7th house cusp. Okay? Now, I want to check really quick. We'll look at her chart. It's just easier for me to read. Her Jupiter is on the midheaven. So, let's see, how is that overlaying with him? I should know. Her Jupiter's opposite her moon. Let me just go back here, you guys. I can see it here. Kim's the inside. I'm not seeing it. I feel like I had it for a second. I'm not seeing a huge... Oh, well, her Jupiter's trying his Mercury. So her husband in her chart is Jupiter, speaks very well. Kanye can communicate with her Jupiter very well. This brings luck, Jupiter luck, children, prosperity, abundance. Probably why they were able to, plan surrogate children and adapt in these ways. Really good communication when it comes to the children. And Kanye talks like her husband, speaks to her like her husband when they're just interacting. Mercury is sort of like idle chatter, day-to-day interactions. Mercury rules Virgo, 6th house. That's what that is. Gemini is sort of that idle chatter. I'm getting tongue-tied, you guys. I'm going to wrap it up here in a minute. But I definitely want to say that the way that he talks to her also feels very much to her like he is her husband, which he is, hopefully. They say that way. I'm a hopeless romantic, and they have a lot of great things going for them, and they've already built a life, so I'm hoping they can find a way to compromise and, overcome any disappointments or disagreements. But one last thing, we're going to go into the composite here, and then we're going to wrap it up after that. So here we have, oh, I thought I pulled up their composite. It took me a while to find. Oh no. Okay. Then again, these are free online charts that any of you can go look up yourselves. The software I have is a much clearer and easier to read. But I mean, if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend like $400 or $500 on astrology software, plenty of free tools here. So this composite, and I'm just going to wrap it up after this unless I have any side tangent thoughts. This composite is the birth chart of the relationship. Now, it's not the day they met, the birth chart, like the day you're born. What this is when the two become one, what they are together, right? Synastry or synergy. This is when Kim and Kanye are standing arm in arm, like in the pictures, I posted earlier. When they're like this picture of them. Am I looking the right way? Yeah, that way. This chart is their chart. So let me just for reference. This is Kanye's birth chart. This is Kim's birth chart. This is how they overlay. Let me go up. They overlay without the birth times, which is fine. You can see the moons, you can see the aspects. It's all you need is the birth dates. This is how they overlay with the birth times. We can see the houses, how they're affecting each other. We can see, that Kanye's sun is on Kim's 7th house cusp, that they have obviously beautiful, wonderful children with that Kanye's Venus-Mars conjunction falling into Kim's 5th house, okay? So this is all dealing with their individual birth charts here, all right? But this one is them as one. This is them as one unit when the two become one. All right. So I'm getting a little exhausted here. I got to get up early for work. This ran really long. But let's see. So in their composite, their moon lands in their 6th house. So again, 6th house, I just mentioned it. It rules day-to-day interactions. It rules day-to-day interactions and planning, things like that, daily tasks, work, 6th house, Virgo things, which for them, their composite actually looks like my birth chart. I think I realized this earlier. My little perita is just walking through, knocking over lights and things. So their composite's flipped, right? It's not a natural chart. A natural chart, the rising's in Aries, here it's in Libra, the opposite of Aries. So their 6th house is in Pisces. It's almost kind of thing going on. So with their moon in Pisces in the 6th, they just have, day in and day out, they live together very well. It's probably passionate differences and disappointments why they're not living in the same house or something. Then we have the sun in Leo in the 11th and Jupiter there, kind of mimicking Kanye's, it's a little bit of white and orb, but mimicking his own natal Sun conjunct Jupiter, and that's in the 11th, which is the house of fame, networking. Well, midheaven's like mass fame. This is more like humanity networking far and wide. So they're known far and wide. Jupiter is expansive. He brings expansion to anything. The sun illuminates everything. The sun, its natural ruler is Leo, and this is happening. Their composite sun is in the sign of Leo. So obviously they're really well known and famous and all of that. Something really beautiful I'm noticing in their composite is their Venus is up there in Cancer. And this chart's kind of cool because you can actually read the signs instead of having the glyphs. So their Venus is up there in Cancer, conjunct the midheaven. And if you remember Amber and Johnny's video, they had that Venus conjunction on the midheaven as well. So this is that voice. People like to hear them talk or sing or rap or whatever. They very articulate to the masses very well. It helps their career. It's in Cancer, very nurturing. Now, the tough thing about their composite is their IC is in Capricorn. I have that natally, so that's a challenge. That means home is the hard work, and career is the family. And, as much as Kanye might like to pretend like, he doesn't want to be part of the show, he said it's because he doesn't like the way the cinematographers work. And I think that might be when it clicked to me that he has a Sun-Jupiter conjunction like me, because I'm very much like that. It's not vanity. It's more techniques. Like, right now I had to use my Mac thing. My real camera. My computer's too old. I've got to upgrade. You can make a donation if you want. So a lot of my good cameras and stuff won't live stream, but it's like technical things. So that's actually when it clicked for me. But anyways, so I've been going on for quite a lot longer than I anticipated. So I'm just gonna glance and see if anything real significant sticks out. Yeah, home is gonna be more work, and the family, the enjoyable times is going to be more in the career sector. But Cancer, midheaven is still very nurturing and loving, but yeah, definitely very public life. A lot of work goes on in this relationship behind closed doors. It can be quite serious in the home sometimes. And they don't really have any planets there to smooth that over. Just seeing if there's anything else I can catch. This relationship is very healing for them, values wise, and their 8th house is in Taurus, which is with Chiron there, which is their sex life. So not to speculate too much on that, but it was whatever their past relationships sexually, they really were able to help each other heal from that. And also they have a very sensual sex life with it being in Taurus. But then they have Uranus and Scorpio, the 2nd house. So again, that could cause a little bit of unpredictability and upheaval when it comes to their values. Almost like there could be, it could also just be like adaptability and, flexibility as well. So, and the one last thing I'm going to go into is the 12th house. Pluto in their 1st house here also, which means this relationship is very, very and that transformation comes from, and it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes kind of transformation, like a death and rebirth. So that's what I was saying. These two I could see, and I don't see this just from like observing them. I see it from the astrology. Could be the two that divorce and get remarried, maybe more than once or later in life or something like that. because you have that death and rebirth, and they could come back even stronger. So even just this separation could do that for them. But this relationship does create a lot of transformation. It's not their individual first house, so it's not necessarily transforming them each individually. It's transforming the relationship. The relationship is transformative. Them as a unit are transforming things. But this could create some tower moments where there's, upheaval, endings, and new beginnings. Definitely can be some extreme up and downs here, but I think there can be some recovery. Whatever Pluto takes away, he brings back quite powerfully. So the last thing is the 12th house in Virgo. Their north node as a couple is there, along with their Saturn. So a very spiritual union. I think that these two, whether they divorce or not, obviously with the children, will be connected for the rest of their lives, but not just for the sake of the children. Like I said, they don't have any Pluto resentful type things going on, so they're really going to lean on each other through life, whether it's through friendship, like how they started out, or, they rekindle and kind of go back and forth. With Kanye's cusp, business-wise, divorce isn't, in his Saturn in her 8th, divorce isn't really a wise choice. It's going to be a huge, it's like they have so many positive binding things, and just looking at it, this is sort of my outro, and then I'm done. Looking at it in sort of just common sense, you're like, yeah, well, they have tons of resources. That's a lot to unravel in a courthouse. But the thing is the 7th house is the courthouse, actually. But it's kind of unwise for them to rush into a divorce, because their assets are very intermingled, and not just in a common sense way, like spiritually, like as a couple, destiny, life path. They're very intertwined, and I don't feel that there's enough animosity there for them to tear it all apart. But if they do Pluto in the first, they might actually come back stronger as a couple. And if they, for some reason, can't make it work and they really do get divorced, they're very connected in the spiritual realm. So they'll be seeing each other there and probably being lovers again. I actually am definitely rooting for them after this. That Mars opposition Sun, it's not a divorce aspect though. I feel like it would have already broken them. If the moon dignities were right, I'd say that they're complete liars and they're just doing this, for some COVID attention since they can't go outside. But yeah. So anyways, I got to get up early for work in the morning, and my throat's a little sore. I ran way longer than I thought I would. Let me just see if... Hi, BKS. Welcome, Miss or Mr. Sagittarius. And Niha, I don't know if you're still in here. Niha, are you still in here? Or did you fall asleep on me? I was going on and on and on. Let's see. Niha gives me a shout out. I'll answer a question with tarot. If not, I gotta sign off, you guys. Sending you all lots of love, blessings, and light. I have a list in my phone. I can't, off the top of my head, think right now, but there are a few more couples that I've come up with that I want to do. Some old school couples as well. So I kind of just go with whoever catches my attention. These two are next. I hope the audio is okay. I'm testing out my new mics. And yeah. All right. Love and light. Happy March. It's all going to be here soon. For those of you that are waiting for the big 144 series, Libra Sun, Aries Moon. I've gotten about halfway through it. Just got to finish up the rising sign. That is coming. And then we'll do Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon next. I'm excited to get to Taurus moons, feel like talking about Aries moons is becoming a little redundant. But yeah. So anyways, if you want me to get there quicker, go ahead and donate to the channel, because I have a lot of personal clients that I have to put on hold to do these videos. And I went back to a day job in another industry. It's a fun industry. It's kind of my dream job in that industry. So I couldn't turn it down, and catching up from the pandemic. But yeah, the donations help me to sort of allocate my time from what I already have on the platforms that I already work for to doing more videos for you. But I do have to say, I haven't been on there to see my clients in about a month, and I'm getting little notifications from them like, hey, sign on, where are you? And I know they need, my returning clients, they come to me like with the same situation to coach them through. So I really got to get back to that. Took me a little while. I got some new audio equipment. My computer is not powerful enough to stream my cameras through. So I have to upgrade my computer, and I found one. I'm working on it. So I kind of was like, how am I going to set this up, and da 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 da. But anyways, yeah, I hope this helped bring you some clarity. I hope that some of you will actually be able to look up your own synastry as a result of this. I'm really, I want you guys to be able to go in here and type in your birth dates, and follow along. And for some of you, it could be a lifesaver. Like, you literally here see that you have Saturn square Pluto or Pluto square Mars, and save yourself a few years of your life. Okay. All right. Okay, I gotta go. Good night. Mwah.